A Royal Caribbean cruise passenger was left in the ship's medical with pneumonia for 3 days. On the July 19th sailing on the Oasis of the Seas that left from Bayonne, New Jersey, right? So one cruise passenger, a female cruise passenger, towards the end of her cruise, there was about 3 days left of the cruise. What happened was she got pneumonia where she had to go to the ship's medical. Unfortunately, she spent the next 3 days in the ship's medical. So what happened next is, obviously now she's sick. She has pneumonia. Her lungs at this point have filled up to 80%. She is in a life-threatening situation at this moment. So once the ship docked in New Jersey, which was on July 26th, this woman was rushed to the hospital. But in order for her to get off the cruise ship, her daughter had to fork out a $12,000 medical bill. Why? Because she did not have travel insurance. Not everybody gets travel insurance, and I'm not going to knock her for not getting it, because we're not here to talk about the travel insurance. We're here to talk about what in the world did Royal Caribbean do. Yes, she had to pay a $12,000 bill, but you're back in the United States. At least let this woman get off. So this is what I'm hearing. This is the story I'm hearing, is that they weren't allowed off unless the $12,000 medical bill was paid, right? Then they got rushed to the hospital. But now here is the question that I'm going to keep asking and asking, and I'm wondering this right now, right? So she had a $12,000 medical bill, right? We know she didn't have travel insurance. But the big question is, she was in the medical for 3 days, right? You're in the ship's medical for 3 days. When people get sick, people get injured, they don't care if you have travel insurance or not, right? You have to get off that ship. Your life is in danger, right? So at this point, why was the U.S. Coast Guard not called in to medically evacuate this passenger to the hospital? Don't know. I've never been through this process of being medically evacuated or know someone who has been medically evacuated. So I'm telling you right now, I really think that Royal Caribbean did not call up the U.S. Coast Guard to medically evacuate this passenger, where this passenger should have been medically evacuated. Why should this passenger have been medically evacuated? Simple. One, when she got to the hospital, she was in a serious condition. She was also developed 80% of her lungs were filled with pneumonia, right? So she is in a serious condition at this moment where she needs to be medically evacuated. And also she's there for 3 days, right? Within the first 24 hours, they should have called the U.S. Coast Guard to medically evacuate this passenger to the closest hospital. I mean, this is crazy, very unfortunate situation. And 3 days before that, where are you? You're on your way back from the Bahamas, going back to Jersey. So they could have gotten her maybe in Florida somewhere. The U.S. Coast Guard could have taken her, brought her to Florida, where she would have got the right treatment right away. Now, I don't know the condition of this woman at this moment. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to hope and pray that, she does recover from this pneumonia. That's the only thing that we can do as a family, everybody out there. That's all you can do, is just put your thoughts and prayer for this woman. Hopefully she does recover from this. So if Royal Caribbean did refuse to call the U.S. Coast Guard to try to save this passenger's life, they are going to be in a world of trouble. One, from the maritime law. Another thing is, the captain of the cruise ship, he could be in a lot of trouble. The people who are in charge, the head doctors who are in charge on this cruise ship, they're also going to be in a lot of trouble also. So you're going to have a lot of people. If they did refuse to get this woman, the U.S. Coast Guard, to medically evacuate her off the cruise ship, if they refuse it, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble. And you know what? There's a possibility that there could be a lawsuit in the future. So one more thing before we go. Everybody, please tell everybody. Please put in the comments. Please tell me. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Royal Caribbean refused to call the U.S. Coast Guard in order to save this passenger's life? Tell me what are your thoughts. Do you think Royal Caribbean is at fault in this situation.